Benvenuti, scholars. Since my channel is all about helping you graduate with your doctorate, I'm starting a new playlist today called Grad Stories, where we'll talk with recent and not so recent graduates of doctoral programs. I hope these conversations will inspire and inform you. This first graduate started her doctoral program at the age of 51 at the University of Central Florida. Since this is the first of this series, I thought it fitting to start with the most influential doctor in my own life. Someone who I've looked up to and have admired as an inspiration to both start and finish my own dissertation journey. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce my mom, Dr. Gloria Markette, as my first guest on Grad Stories. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Nick.
I know education was always very important to you and Dad. Can you share your academic background from your undergraduate to starting at University of Central Florida and what prompted you to pursue your doctorate?
As you know, Dad and I both graduated from the University of Connecticut in 1964, and Dad went right into the military. So for 20 years, I was an officer's wife in the military and did some substitute teaching and some teaching here and there. When he retired, I wanted to go back to teaching, as you know. So I enrolled in Arizona State and earned my master's degree in education. I remember when I worked on my master's, I was also working, and I had your brother and sister at home.
I remember Wednesday nights we would meet at school because I didn't want to pay for dinner and I didn't have money. So
yes, I remember when we commuted
yes,
in your little red truck.
Well, you commuted with Mike and then met me there, and then...
No, we went together.
Did we go together?
Yeah, I was squished in the middle.
Oh, I do remember that. Yes,
truck.
I remember. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was really fun. It was really fun. And then at Sunday dinner, we'd sit around and complain about the parking
Yes,
and how expensive
that.
it was and how hard it was to get a parking space.
I do remember that.
And your brother helped me with my math. And at that time, we moved from Arizona to Florida for my husband's work. And I was able to get a job at HBCU, Bethune-Cookman University. And I found at the school, I would make a lot more money with a doctorate, and I also would have more respect from my faculty members with a doctorate. They were very influenced by titles and degrees. So I applied and was accepted at the University of Central Florida. I started it in 1993 and I finished in 1996. One little cute story, we were visiting in Phoenix with Nick and Joe, and we were in a bookstore, I think, in Tempe, and someone said, "Dr. Markette," and all three of us whipped around. And I'm going, who do I know in Arizona that knows that I'm a doctor? And it was one of Joe's students, but the three of us were.
I remember that. That was fun. So I have your dissertation here. The title is The Effects of Teaching Metacognitive Strategies to Remedial Reading College Students. Why did you choose this topic?
Because I was teaching reading to remedial readers at my college. So in order for the students to pass this remedial course and go on to a credit course, they had to pass a standardized test. When the test was finished at the end of the semester, I'd ask them, "How did you do on the test?" And they assured me that they did great, that they passed. Their scores came in and they didn't pass. They did very poorly. So I realized these students were not aware that they didn't even know the material. So that's when I chose this topic to see if by using some methods, some teaching methods, whether this would change. So that was the basis of my study.
How was your doctoral program structured? In other words, were you in a cohort? How many years were you in coursework before you wrote your proposal? How long did it take between starting your study and graduation?
I think there were about 20 of us, and we came from all types of professions. I would say it took maybe 2 years for all the coursework, 2.5. And then I began writing my dissertation in the fall for the first 3 chapters of 90. So I began writing the dissertation and did my proposal presentation in the fall of '95. I did my study in the spring of '96, and then I finished writing the dissertation from May till July, defended in July, and graduated in August.
So we have the internet now and many advances that make earning your doctorate easier. Help us understand how technology has changed and where it's the same and where it's different when you were actually writing your dissertation.
Well, I was lucky. In '96, we did have internet. I, of course, had a computer, a dial-up connection. And everything in the university library was online. So I did a lot of my research at home, and then I would go to the library and pull my sources. Well, we only had one screen, and I did use microfiche, which I don't like at all.
Well, speaking of changes in technology, I remember, because Dad was concerned with you on those commutes, that you had something just in case you needed to communicate, and it was a mobile phone that was essentially in a briefcase.
Yes, I remember that. It was actually bigger than the dissertation, and it had a real handle phone, and it was heavy. It stayed in the back seat, and fortunately, I only had to use it once in the 3 years I was commuting. But it made me feel better, confident that I had it with me.
Most doctoral programs, the student works with the committee. What was your experience like working with your committee? What things did you do that were helpful at that stage? And if you were to go back, what would you do differently?
After talking to you, when you began your degree and you were working on your degree at Grand Canyon University, I was amazed at all the help you received, because I received virtually none. We did attend a class on how to write a dissertation, but that was it. Our advisors did not help a great deal. They read my presentation, they read the 3 chapters, and then they went on before I defended, they read those, of course, before they were submitted, but that was about it. We basically were on our own to pick our topic, do our research, find people to help us with our statistics, and so on. We were pretty much alone.
So going through that the way you've explained, what did you do that led to your success? What would you do differently perhaps? And how did you feel going through that in the way you just described?
Well, I felt as though I was never going to finish because I couldn't pull this all together. I did turn to my cohort for statistics. So we all studied together for our final statistic exam, and if I hadn't done that, I'm not sure I would have passed the course. So once I started pulling all my research together, did the study, the statistics were taken care of, then I relaxed and I felt like, okay, I'm going to make it. But I really wish I could have had more help, more coaching, more tutoring, which I think you give your students now.
So after you graduated, how did your doctorate impact your life and your future opportunities from that point?
Well, immediately I began the fall semester with a new contract with a much higher pay level. Also, it offered more opportunities at the university, and I actually became head of my department.
What was the most positive memory of your doctoral journey?
I felt a great deal of accomplishment, like I had done this. I was able to do it and do it well, and I think that was the most positive memory. And remember, I wasn't 20 or 30 or 40. I was, getting on up there in years. One thing I do remember is in my class, I remember one student in particular, he said, oh, I couldn't get my work done because I work. And I just started laughing and said, "You are talking to the wrong person," because I was working full-time at the university. Then I was commuting from Daytona Beach, where I lived, to Orlando, which was an hour and a half commute. So I was leaving work at 3:30 to get to school by 5. Then school was over at 9 or 9:30, and then I drove home, threw myself in bed, got up, went to work the next morning to be there for an 8 o'clock class. So it was like, you are talking to the wrong person. I know what it's like to work and go to school.
So give us an idea of how you structured today. So we know you were in school all day teaching. You had a commute 3 hours combined to get there and back. When did you fit in your studies and your schoolwork?
If you'll ask Dad, we did not have a social life for several years. We rarely went anywhere on weekends. I would be holed up in my office, doing my work. I would do the research before school or maybe after school. And
so how many hours would you spend on a Saturday or a Sunday?
at least 12.
Okay. That's like a major part-time job.
Yes, it was. I was fortunate in a way because I was an empty nester. Your little sister was in college, and Dad was traveling a great deal. So I didn't have a lot of responsibilities as a young mother would have, or people who work and have children at home. So I really only had to worry about myself.
And that makes it a little easier.
It made it a lot easier.
Looking back, what advice would you give to current doctoral learners and candidates, or people who are thinking about starting a doctoral program?
Pick the topic for their dissertation immediately. I did not do that. I waited 2 years and floundered around trying to find my topic. If I had the topic at the beginning, I would have been able to slant all of my research through all of my classes into the field that I eventually covered. I would have saved myself a great deal of time.
Well, I have to say, you gave me that advice when I started, and I did that, and that led to a much easier program for me. As always, thank you for watching. Please click subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on our upcoming videos. Let me help you get to graduation.